Hey Moira is your brother. Hey Moira is your brother. Guess what? Guess what? This one's just speculative. I haven't confirmed this one yet. First of all, Moira, you're a psychopath. You're a fantastically stupid psychopath. So here's the thing. Do you know what a rebus is, Moira? Yeah, Barbara Toscano's still alive. She's getting her lawn done. Do you know what a rebus is, Moira? Do you know what a rebus is, Moira? Dad taught me rebuses on the back porch of 7881 Salt Springs Road in the late 1970s when he was an employee at Syracuse Research Corporation, an intelligence contractor. That's right. Our daddy had our daddy had a security clearance he couldn't even tell us about. Thomas Anthony Dorsey had a heavy-duty security clearance that he never even told his own family about. That's how deep the security clearance was. Syracuse Research Corporation, 1976 to 1980. Now, while our daddy was working there, he taught me, and Paul Flynn, how to do rebuses, among other things. He also taught me, I didn't know it was the name of it at the time, but Dad taught me something called acronym-based null ciphers, like Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. 518 November Charlie 5. 518 November Charlie 5. Black Jeep, Mass Reg. 518 November Charlie 5. Anyways, I'll double check the plate on the film. Oh, there's the ramp. There's the Scion. Is that the Scion? Anyways, our daddy taught me rebuses. And acronym-based null ciphers. I thought they were just word games. Guess what they were? It was a CIA counterintelligence officer teaching his 7, 8, and 9-year-old son emergency communication techniques in case he was murdered and I ended up in a bad situation like this. Guess what the latest rebus tells me? It's what I believe is a Georgian end table that for the longest time, Dad left a Forrester Research USB drive, an old one, like, one of those ones was only like 60 or, 32 megabytes or something like that. They used to leave around all the time that say Forrester on them, the green oval. And also is a white space heater. And it's a Georgian end table. Right. It's a Georgian end table. No, excuse me. A Georgian bedside table. I misspoke. It's a Georgian bedside table that still has a Forrester USB device on it with a white space heater. Now that's a rebus and an acronym-based null cipher. Because who puts a space heater on top of a Georgian end table? You put space heaters on the floor because heat rises. You don't put them high, you put them low. You certainly don't put an electric space heater on a wooden object. White space heater, widow's son homicide. That's Dad telling me he was murdered by some Freemason, which of course, Rich Bebo's a fucking Freemason who lives in a White House, and he's also an Italian-American mobster. Georgian bedside table. George Forster Colony made Dad, who's a Bernard Sampson, a traitor, falsely. Because it's a replica. It's a replica Georgian bedside table. It's not a real Georgian bedside table. It's a replica, which is a falsehood, which means that Georgian, get it? Bedside table, Bernard Sampson traitor, but it's a fake table. That's right. Our daddy was smooth. All these jackasses in this neighborhood, they thought they were playing James Bond or Ethan Hunt for the last 25 years. Meanwhile, they were getting totally outclassed by a real counterintelligence officer. Our daddy. You people are so fucked, I don't know what to do with you. I don't know what military intelligence is going to do to you, but it's going to be ugly. You best stay safe, Moira. You're in serious fucking trouble with the law. It's either the United States Attorney's Office or military intelligence, because there are other circuses out there, Moira. That's the thing. Remember, Dad called us the Berlin game family up the street, right? Which is a reference to Len Deighton and John Le Carre. And he wore a hat that said it was from the Ringling Museum, which is Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. So it was references to Len Deighton and John Le Carre, right? Dad was a real live member of a real circus, a real counterintelligence operation. And since all this shit started in 1999, someone down at Fort Meade and someone down, God knows where, someone in Syracuse or something, has been watching this and just once every 2 or 3 months just figuring out, okay, no, we know Tom's not a traitor. No, we know the son's not a traitor. Yeah, what do these people think they're doing? And you've probably been abandoned by the Chinese at this point, who do incredibly brash things and then just walk away from it. Do things right out in the open. So now your Chinese friends have probably just gone back to China with all the stolen shit they have. And for the last 10 years, you and the local corrupt piece of shit law enforcement authorities in George Foerster Colony have been trying to cover this up. And and you murdered Dad. And Enzo C. Finelli, I think, was murdered. I'm certain he was murdered. Jay Saccone was murdered. Captain William Spaulding of the Newton PD was murdered. And Seti Warren, the former mayor of Newton, a former naval intelligence officer, by the way, was murdered. I know those 3 men who worked in Newton city government, the last 3 I just mentioned. I know they were murdered from their dates of death and the fact that there was no cause of death listed in their obituaries. I think Jay Saccone was a mob murder, an organized crime murder. It had nothing to do with intelligence. I don't know about Captain William Spaulding of Newton PD. He was murdered about 4 or 5 months before Dad died. Dad was murdered. So he might have known what was going down with what was going to happen with Dad, and that's why they murdered him. He might have been an FBI informant in the Newton PD regarding this situation, because the picture in his obituary is that of an FBI agent. Excuse me, withdrawn, I strike that. The picture of Captain Willie Spaulding of the Newton PD in his obituary photo is he's in front of an FBI flag, wearing a suit, not his Newton PD uniform. So Moira, between the Rivas, and I'm going to go, Dad was basically telling me where to look after he died, with the Rebuses left over around the house. They're clues. A rebus is not proof of anything. It's a clue to tell you what to do, where to look. So, if people don't believe me about the Rebuses Dad left around the house, the physical Rebuses that also are part acronym-based null ciphers, they can fuck off. Because I don't have to prove the Rebuses are the truth of what they mean to me. I just have to find facts consistent with them. And the Rebus, the latest one I figured out is Dad says he was murdered by a combination of Freemasons. Also, Dionysios Tembalopoulos is also a Freemason. And mobsters. And George Foerster Colony framed Dad for treason in order to facilitate the homicide. There are already facts consistent with that, Moira, including the fact that you were fucking George Foerster Colony because you were coming home late at night, and you never told me you lived 1.7 miles away from George Foerster Colony. And I helped you move into that fucking house in Concord, and I went up there every goddamn Sunday to take care of Liam. And you never once told me that George Foerster Colony lived 1.7 miles away from you, Moira. That kind of concealment of information is consciousness of guilt. Concealing that incredibly important piece of information about that you lived 1.7 miles away from George is consciousness of guilt, specifically adultery. So Moira, you were definitely fucking George Foerster Colony because you were coming home at 9:30 at night, sweaty, and then going straight on a weeknight, going straight into the shower. And you didn't tell me for years that George Foerster Colony lived 1.7 miles away from you. You were definitely fucking George. And you got an abortion in such a way that it was highly probable, or almost definite, that you teratogenized your own child. And then you named your company Dorsey Experience Strategies, which is a very unusual name. And DES is a teratogen. And the only reason to name the company Dorsey Experience Strategies, DES, is to tell George to fuck off, or to blackmail George with the fact that you had his child. You were pregnant with his child, Moira. So Moira, you're in serious fucking trouble with the law. So either the United States Attorney's Office is gonna get you, or military intelligence may get you. United States military intelligence may get you. I really hope what they're doing is constitutional. I took an oath to uphold the law, Moira. I took an oath to uphold the law, Moira. And I'm gonna hold true to that oath, Moira. But I can't stop United States military intelligence from doing what they did to you. I cannot stop United States military intelligence from doing what they probably did to Ann Jackson. You understand me, Moira? I oppose what they're doing because I'm a lawyer and I want to live in a country with the rule of law. And having United States military intelligence hold a top secret proceeding where there's a judge advocate sitting as a judge, and having an adversarial proceeding where the potential enemy combatant is not present, and there's an adversarial proceeding where a judge advocate general officer sitting as a court decides that the person is an enemy combatant, that they should be terminated. I don't think we should be doing that in America. I don't believe in that. I believe in the United States Constitution. It may be legal under the laws of war and war as outlined in the United States Constitution, but it's still a bad solution, even if it's constitutional and legal. It's better to prosecute these people in federal court. That's it. You're a traitor, Moira. George Forster Colony is a traitor. Eric Witherspoon is a traitor. Elizabeth Brady Witherspoon is a traitor. Ann Jackson was a traitor. Rajesh Srinath is a traitor. And you outsourced your treason to the Italian mafia in Newton, Massachusetts. It's that simple. And for the last 10 years, you've been covering it up and murdering witnesses that could put you in prison. The lot of you. Moira, you're going to hell when you die. My advice to you, Moira, is to hire an attorney immediately, a criminal defense attorney. Go talk to that attorney and tell them everything you did. And go to the United States Attorney's Office in New York and FBI counterintelligence immediately, you piece of shit. Please take care of Liam. He's a good young man.